JustinFREAKIN, the formidable voice in the culture. Hey Justin, are you trolling?
Wash your ass.
Come on, man.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with JustinFREAKIN.
Oh, Socks was over here being indecent. I was gonna show him to you, but he stopped doing it. Like he was over there fucking spread eagle. It was like, you want to show everybody, really, buddy? Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Wednesday. Psych! Ain't no news be doing no nothing tonight. It's just Justin talking about Final Fantasy 16 for 2 or 3 hours. No. There's too much shit to talk about. We have to get in and find out what that news be doing. I assure you, Remember how we had a good laugh over the missing submersive vehicle last night? Well, in the last 24 hours, I've found out much, much more about it. And we will be laughing even more. I assure you, it gets funnier and funnier the more you find out about it. Meat cakes, porg. I am so looking forward to telling you guys all the things I've found out. About the submarine company, about the CEO, about the stepson. We're even going to hear from Cardi B on the matter. She's got thoughts, and of course, I'm always going to listen to what Cardi B has to say. An explosion rocked the city of Paris. I reserve the right. Once again, this is probably going to be a short show. I probably can't help myself. I'm going to be here until midnight. Final Fantasy 16 comes out tonight. I'm going to try to knock off early. I've got my pre-order in. I'm going to get stupid fucking high and I'm going to play Final Fantasy 16. I have been playing Final Fantasy games when they come out, doing midnight releases since, GameStop was a thing. Well, since GameStop midnight releases were a thing. But getting them the day of since way back Final Fantasy VIII in 1999. I went to Walmart and I had a little pink slip. And I handed them the slip. I got my copy of Final Fantasy VIII. And the reviews, wow. Looks like it could be a Game of the Year contender, and I was not expecting that. Been a long, long time since a Final Fantasy been good. I just been playing them out of habit. Oh shit. That's actually the last midnight release I did was Final Fantasy 15. But yeah, I'm going to try not to ramble and get the fuck out of here so I can go play video games. But we got a lot of shit to talk about. Narendra Modi coming to the United States. The Biden administration and the White House preparing for a state visit from Narendra Modi. Probably about 2 hours, Porg. Maybe even a little longer. I'm going to try to be short, but you guys know me. I have a problem with brevity. Shelly, good evening. My plan was to take a nap this afternoon so I could play Final Fantasy all goddamn night. That did not happen, and I have been up since 7 in the morning. It very well could Tears of the Kingdom be Game of the Year. I've heard rave reviews about it. I think the scores were just slightly better than what Final Fantasy 16 ended up getting. I think Tears of the Kingdom ended up with a 91 on Metacritic. Final Fantasy 16 coming in at a 88. Several outlets gave it a 10 out of 10. From Soft, they make a really good game. I've not seen anything about the Armored Core. Okay, so it is a special night. I don't do this very often. I have it ready to go right here. This is a dab. I have a dab in the bong ready to hit. Should I do the dab? The other night I did the dabs. I was playing Mortal Kombat with my buddy and I started talking like I had a stroke. I was like drooling on myself and shit. Oh, I owe you a meme. I owe you the meme of the day. Someone gets offended over all the orca and submarine memes. I could watch rich people drown all day. I don't give a shit about rich people. Funny because it's true. Hold on. So you can see the whole thing here. Let me make it a little bit. Rich people drown all day. I don't give a shit about rich people. I probably did the Letterkenny accent Probably didn't do it justice. I don't even know what that is. They're from, what, New Zealand? Australia or some shit? I don't even fucking know. Kind of like Trailer Park Boys, but in a different country where they speak English, but it's different. Oh, goddamn. There are a hell of a... The memes. Oh my god, the memes. I got memes about it all day long. Both orca and submarine related memes. I got more than just memes too. Jeff Bezos' new yacht is finally ready to set sail. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Sorry. We've got shit to do. I've got shit to do. We gotta cover what went on in Congress today. Two big things happened. Well, three things happened. The Republicans, one of them wasn't that big. The Republicans tried to repeal student loan forgiveness, and they failed. Earlier this week, I think it was, or maybe it was last week, I can't even remember now, they tried to censure Adam Schiff, and they weren't able to. Apparently they're going to do it again, and they're going to be able to succeed this time. I have a feeling it might have something to do with what happened this morning when Adam Schiff was questioning John Durham, the special counsel that investigated the FBI and the origins of the Mueller investigation. He testified in front of Congress today. I actually watched a good portion of it this morning. We're going to watch some fireworks fly between Jerry Nadler, Adam Schiff, and Jim Jordan get into it. Matt Gaetz had some interesting questioning, but appears that Durham lied. We're going to read a piece from Mother Jones that contends that Durham made false statements to Congress during his testimony earlier today. Oregon, back in the business of passing legislation. The Oregon State House back in session after the GOP ended their walkout. Passed amended bills on abortion. The Michigan GOP chair sent out a tweet about the Holocaust that caused a whole bunch of outrage. Leaked audio now shows that she thought that the outrage over her Holocaust tweet was funny. She was laughing about the outrage. New report on Samuel Alito appears he also has been sucking that billionaire teat. Ted Cruz responds. I'm going to tell you all about that fucking missing submersive submarine vehicle, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Including we're going to hear from Cardi. And look, hold on. If you think you know everything about this sub story, you do not. And if you, like, one of the most important facts has gone completely under the radar. Apparently, its intercom system keeps resetting. And they have been listening to the same song on loop over and over again as they possibly drowned in their own piss. And when I tell you what the song is, oh my God. Just wait. Michael Jackson has gone viral. Apparently, there are right-wingers that believe that a certain Michael Jackson song shows that he was anti-woke. As always, these idiot-ass right-wingers have heard a song and completely misinterpreted the lyrics, come to a conclusion that is the opposite of what the song is actually about. Michael Jackson, I hate to inform you, was very, very woke. All that and more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. I've got some stories about cops, but I feel like we're gonna be having fun in the show, and then I don't want to take a U-turn, and then we do these cop stories, and it fucking nobody's happy anymore. I may save the cop stories for later. I want to talk about these, including a homicide detective weeping on the stand over the Parkland shooting. The cop that didn't go into the building in Parkland on trial yet again. Very emotional testimony from that trial, but I think we're going to save that till Sunday. We're going to finish off this show talking about the submarine and Michael Jackson. That seems fitting to me. All that and more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. ICBM again in here. What up, my friend?
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Snicks, good evening. I did Durham lie to Congress? You're going to be able to form your own opinion. We're going to hear multiple pieces of the testimony, and then we'll hear from David Korn, I believe it is, who wrote the piece in Mother Jones, claiming that Durham lied. We're going to get to that, but first let's cover a few things. I don't think anyone was injured. 16 people were injured. No one was killed. No one was killed in a gas explosion in Paris. $16 people hurt in an explosion. This happened at a private school, apparently. You see the chaotic scenes. Investigators say a fire broke out after the explosion, causing evacuations at several buildings. Officials say a gas leak may have caused the explosion. Warlord says Paris go boom. That's pretty much all we know at this time. It happened earlier today, I do believe. I have an exact time. The count is up to 24 people. 24 people injured in the blast Wednesday. Say what time? Saint Jacques in the city's 5th arrondissement or district. So, not immediately known if there were any fatalities, but none reported thus far. The facade of the building collapsed, and emergency personnel were working to determine if anyone was inside. From France to India. Well, more like India coming to the United States. Narendra Modi, is it Prime Minister or President? It's President of India. Making his way to the U.S. for a state visit.
The United States for a pomp-filled state visit that will take him to New York, the Oval Office, and a joint session of Congress. Modi! Modi! The top U.S. diplomat says the two nations share a special bond. Both are also very concerned about China's increased military ambitions, and India has clashed with China along their shared border.
We see this defining relationship as a unique connection between the world's oldest and largest democracies, with a special obligation now to demonstrate that our governments can deliver for and empower all of our citizens.
On the table are serious discussions about India's most powerful rival, China, about the war in Ukraine, and about strategic technology partnerships in the realms of defense, energy, and space. India-focused analyst Rick Rosso says his conversations with White House staff ahead of the visit have shown they have high expectations.
They think they've got a lot of serious concrete deliverables that'll move the relationship to a new level. And a lot of those are really kind of focused on defense as well as critical and emerging technology. So I think those are going to be the two areas we'll probably see the bulk of announcements, but it sounds like they're going to have a little something for everybody.
The two nations have different perspectives on some key issues. Notable among them is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's reluctance to condemn Russia, which is a major source of oil and weapons for India.
But the Biden administration has been willing to...
And the Biden's administration to condemn Modi for being an authoritarian.
Ignore that or overlook that. There are many who say that India should sort of support the US and its partners in case there's an invasion of Taiwan. India has avoided any sort of support or anything on that issue, because India would not like to be involved in that issue either. So there are areas where they differ, but the Biden administration has tried to reduce those differences, and focus primarily on areas where the two agree or are in alignment.
And then there is the delicate issue of human rights. Human Rights Watch says Modi's respect for civil and political rights has markedly deteriorated in recent years. The White House says human rights are always part of diplomacy.
That's putting it mildly.
But will Biden broach this delicate subject?
I think at the end of the day, this is something that's going to be conveyed most likely privately behind the scenes by the president. I don't think there's any grandstanding about this, because they do want to make sure that the positive areas of the relationship aren't impeded by, making some kind of big proclamation, next to Modi about concerns about human rights in India. But I think it'll be conveyed privately. There's some nuance there.
Biden will host a state dinner on Thursday, and in deference to their vegetarian visitor, the White House has brought in a celebrity chef who specializes in plant-based cooking. Anita Powell, VOA News, Washington.
So, Modi, a vegetarian. Interesting. Glad they brought in a special chef, because Indian food's fucking good. If you're going to be a vegetarian in any culture, India's probably the best one. They got some good fucking God, Indian food's so good. God damn. Sorry. My mouth is watering thinking of Indian food. I don't even know what anything's called. I just know you dip the pita bread, the naan, you dip it in this and you dip it in that. You eat some of this chicken that's in the yellow stuff. You eat some of this chicken that's in the orange stuff. It's all fucking excellent. I've never, every single goddamn thing is better than the last thing I tasted. I don't even know how they fucking do it. Sorry. Indian food. Thai food, also very good. Butter chicken. Fuck yeah, some butter chicken. There was a primary. I am a political show. The Turtle Patrol is a political show. I'm not high enough for this shit. I think that's what it is. Vietnamese for the win on veggie. Oh. I haven't had a lot of Vietnamese food. I would like to. I would like to have some Vietnamese food. I like trying different types of food. You know what? I think I'm going to try some of this this dab right here. I've never done a dab on stream before. I hope I don't start talking like I've had a stroke again. We're gonna hope that doesn't happen. Oh, what am I thinking? Hold on. Wrong lighter. I've got the lighter for it. May not have the dab rig, but I have the lighter for it. Shit, sorry, didn't mean to smack my... God damn, that tastes so good. It just tastes fucking amazing. I don't remember what it was. It's some kind of fruity flavor. It definitely tastes fruity. Done that. I shouldn't have done that. The second one was too much. That first, the first one, I was like, all right, that's a normal hit. I can handle. The second one was too much. I'm sorry. You see my eyes watering? Fuck. Woo. Woo indeed. God damn, this shit is amazing. Okay, so now I'm going to try to do... I can't say it's the highest I've ever been on stream. Because between the 420s and my birthday... Fucking last year's birthday stream where Sparkles made the marijuana cake. Fuck, I was so high that night. On the 420 streams when I've done the bong with the gas mask, holy fuck. So I've been really high on stream before. Blunt time? I don't have a blunt wrap. I don't usually smoke blunts. I'm not a blunt smoker. Sparkles was very much a blunt smoker. That's usually when I was smoking blunts. She would usually have a blunt for the freak show. She was sending me orca memes as I was coming on. And submarine memes and orca memes. She was very happy, and she liked the ones I had. I showed her mine, and she showed me hers.
You live in sexual anarchy.
Also, I need to turn off the echo on the drops that have the echo, cause like I watched back. I clipped a piece of the show last night, put it up on YouTube, and as I was watching it back, like that echo is, oh, it's blunt time for you? Hell yeah, light one up. But the ones that have the echo, it's really bad.
Up yours, woke.
Yeah, that one's echoing.
We'll see who cancels who.
So my apologies. I don't hear the echo. You guys are hearing it because it's playing twice. So if they don't have the echo, like I'm not hearing it. So if I hear it, it hasn't. Never. I got really fucking high. I'm sorry. Anyway, there was a primary yesterday in Virginia. Can you? I had a company contact me and say they needed a North Carolina voiceover. So I was like, oh, you know, I'm like 30 minutes from North Carolina. That should work, right? And I sent them my shit, and they're like, oh, great, yeah, everything's wonderful, but your accent's a little off. I'm like, well, do you want me to be less radio voice and more like my natural accent? And they're like, yeah, do that. That's hard for me. I can't do that. It was very difficult, and I don't think I did a good job, because like I'm so used to being. One of the things is like, especially with the Appalachian accent, is T's. So like I over enunciate my T's, putting the consonants on the end of words. There's a lot of, you know, and drawing out your vowels. You know, instead of a washcloth, it's a washcloth in Appalachia. So it's shit that I've had to be acutely aware of. Every time I fucking get behind the microphone, I'm thinking about the T's, the putting the consonants on the ends, and not doing the long vowels. So it's hard to turn that off after 20 years of doing it. Smoke that blood. There was an election in Virginia yesterday. Primary election. We got like I got to pick it up. We got the congressional hearings. They're too good. You got to hear this shit. We got to talk about Michael Jackson. Two polarizing lawmakers were ousted in the Virginia primaries. Voters gave the boot to two of the Virginia General Assembly's most polarizing figures on Tuesday night. Democratic State Senator Joe Morrissey and GOP State Senator Amanda Chase, both of whom cultivated bombastic personas at the Capitol, lost primary challenges to candidates who pitched themselves as drama-free alternatives. For Democrats, Morrissey's loss to former Delegate Lacrease Arid in Petersburg suggests abortion continues to motivate voters, something party leaders are counting on heading into November. So I would assume that Senator Joe Morrissey was a pro-life Democrat. Arid put the issue front and center in her campaign, frequently reminding voters not of Morrissey's many scandals, but of his past support for abortion restrictions as a self-described pro-life Democrat. On the GOP side, Chase's loss to former state Senator Glenn Sturtevant in Chesterfield signals the party's voters might be ready to move past Trump, who has been disastrous for Republicans' fortunes in Virginia. Chase called herself Trump in Heels, embraced baseless election fraud claims, and drew censure for calling January 6 rioters patriots. That's where I knew her name from. We covered her getting censured. Sturtevant, meanwhile, campaigned as a workhorse, not a show horse. Arid's victory over Morrissey wasn't even close. She captured just under 70% of the vote. By God, good job. Sturtevant's victory over Chase was narrower, winning by just 2 points in a three-way race that also included party activist Tina Ramirez. Morrissey said his political career is over. I'm moving on, he told WTVR. You've got to know when to look forward to the next chapter. Perhaps the biggest upset of the night came in Fairfax County, where Senator Chap Peterson, a Democrat and a good old chap, with a contrarian streak who partnered with Republicans to end mask mandates in school, lost his re-election bid 54-46. He was bested by Saddam Aslam Salim, a first-generation immigrant from Bangladesh who emphasized affordable housing. Beautiful! It looks like turning the tide in Virginia, which Republicans had hoped to turn back red, seems like it's going even more blue. God, I love Virginia. Remember, the reason why I'm able to smoke this dab because of Virginia. Thank you very much, Virginia. Awesome fucking state. Virginia is for lovers. It was almost too much again. Why did I do that? I'm not going to make it to midnight. The battle between near octogenarians drawn into the same district. Senator Louise Lucas bested Senator Lionel Spruill 53% to 47%. Young-back delegate Tara Durant beat Matt Strickland, who had campaigned to crush the establishment in an open Senate district in Spotsylvania. That's a real place, Spotsylvania. 57% to 43%. Charlottesville Senator Craig Deeds beat back a progressive challenge from delegate Sally Hudson at 51 to 49%. That sucks, but at least it was close. Overall, it looks like it is a swing back towards the left in Virginia, which is always a good thing. Earlier today in the House of Representatives, the GOP was unable to repeal the veto. Oh, I'm sorry. So what they were trying to do was to override Biden's veto to repeal student loan forgiveness, and they failed. If they were trying to override a veto, what is it, 2/3 of the House? No, of course they failed. How in the fuck did a bill even pass the Senate? God, it would have had to have been Joe Manchin or Kirsten Sinema wouldn't have voted with the Republicans to pass this. Jesus Christ. So Biden vetoed it. This is the Republicans attempting to override the veto.
The yeas are 221 and the nays are 206. 2/3 not being in the affirmative, the veto of the president is sustained and the joint resolution is rejected. The veto message and the joint resolution are referred to the Committee on Education and the Workforce. The clerk will notify the Senate of the action of the House.
What a waste of time. What a waste of time. We haven't even got a court decision on it yet. And they're trying to repeal a law that the court may strike down anyway. But Republicans are known for their wastes of time. Like this, yet another attempt to censure Representative Adam Schiff.
Resolution 521, the House has resolved that the House of Representatives censure.
So this has happened. This was updated at 7:13 here. So this has now happened. They did censure Adam Schiff. Trying to play Kevin McCarthy reading the resolution. Damn it, McCarthy, you suck.
Resolution 521, the House has resolved that the House of Representatives censures Adam Schiff, representative of the 30th Congressional District of California, for misleading the American public,
yeah, what are you talking about?
And for conduct unbecoming of an elected member of the House of Representatives. That Representative Adam Schiff will be forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. That Representative Adam Schiff will be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. And that the Committee on Ethics shall conduct an investigation into Representative Adam Schiff's
absolutely absurd
representations and abuse of sensitive information.
To my Republican colleagues who introduced this resolution, I thank you. You honor me with your enmity.
No, don't worry. We've got Schiff's comments here in just a second. I know that might have been post. Yeah, let's listen to what he had to say. That might have been after past.
With this falsehood, you who are the authors of a big lie about the last election must condemn the truth tellers, and I stand proudly before you. Your words tell me that I have been effective in the defense of our democracy, and I am grateful. Today, I wear this partisan vote as a badge of honor.
So yeah, that might have been after the vote. We've got his speech before the vote that we're going to listen to here in just a second. In a rare move, the House passed a censure resolution along party lines on Wednesday night against Representative Adam Schiff, punishing one of the chamber's own members and inflaming rhetoric on both sides of the aisle. The vote was 213 to 209, with Republicans voting yes, Democrats voting no, and 6 GOP lawmakers voting present. Schiff, a former Intel Committee chair, was censured over comments he made years ago during investigations into former President Donald Trump and the Trump campaign's ties to Russia, which interfered in the 2016 election to aid Trump, Special Counsel Robert Mueller found. Now, we're going to be parsing that fact out as we get to the Durham hearing. The censure resolution rebukes Schiff for what it calls his misleading the American public. Schiff previously called the criticism nonsense. The resolution also directed the House Ethics Committee to investigate Schiff's actions. After the vote on Wednesday, members could be heard chanting as Schiff moved towards the well where he stood as Speaker Kevin McCarthy read the adopted resolution. The heckling included shouts of "Shame! Shame!" while McCarthy repeatedly paused until there was quiet, at one point saying he had time to be there all night. As the Speaker read the censure resolution on the floor, the banging of his gavel could barely be heard over Democrats yelling that the move was a disgrace. As the vote was called, Representative Eric Swalwell said, "It's pathetic you're doing this. Pathetic." The member of the House bringing forward this resolution to censure Adam Schiff, Representative Paulina Luna.
Such time as I may consume. Americans do not trust Congress. From the highest levels of office, an elected member of this body enabled the fraudulent spending of $32 million out of the pockets of our American people and threw it down the drain to knowingly chase ghosts, all for political gain. This man occupied a position.
Weird. The Mueller investigation made money for the government. It made back more than the 32 million. Is that the figure that she just cited? 32. It made back more than the 32 or 34 million, whatever it was that it cost. Sorry, ma'am.
Of the highest trust and authority. As chair of the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff launched an all-out political campaign built on baseless distortions against a sitting U.S. president at the expense of every single citizen in this country and the honor of the House of Representatives. With access to sensitive information unavailable to most members of Congress and certainly not accessible to the American people, Schiff abused his privileges claiming to know the truth, while leaving Americans in the dark about this web of lies. Lies so severe that they altered the course of the country forever. The lie that
Gentlelady will suspend. The House is not in order. Members, please take your conversations off the floor.
The lie that President Donald Trump colluded with Russia to steal the 2016 presidential election, revealed to be completely false by numerous investigations, including the Durham report. The lie that the Steele dossier, a folder of falsified and since completely debunked collusions, accusations funded by the Democrat Party, had any shred of credibility. Yet Schiff read it into congressional record as fact. Lies concocted and compiled in a false memo that was used to lie to the FISA court to precipitate domestic spying on U.S. citizen Carter Page, violating American civil liberties. Not only was this egregious abuse of Schiff's privileged access to classified information, but this memo was littered with 17 major mistakes and omissions. The groundless memo violated Carter Page's civil liberties, publicly assassinated his character, and subjected him to multiple abusive, unlawful investigations. Mr. Schiff exploited his position as chair of...
Snicks needs a drink for this.
...possible, threatening national security, undermining our duly elected president, and bringing dishonor upon the institution. Perhaps most unforgivable, Schiff ripped apart American families.
And it's sad that, like, the two biggest stories that I have to bring you tonight both stem from basically the 2016 election. Republicans are still up in arms about it, because we're going to hear from Durham in his committee testimony that happened this morning.
Across the country with repeated false narratives. His own political good was served by permanently destroying family relationships and sowing lasting division across our land, which we live with every single day. The perpetrator of this web of deceit became mainstays on cable news, waking up every morning with one goal: to lie to the American people that there was a direct evidence of Russia collusion. Despite transcripts from Schiff's investigation showing that the Director of National Intelligence, former Obama Attorney General, former Attorney General, and FBI Director, to name a few.
Now notice the phrase that she uses: collusion. I've noticed, like, Republicans think they're fucking witty doing this shit. There is, other than the Trump kids going and meeting with the Russian spies at Trump Tower, the secret Trump Tower meeting, there's not really any evidence of the Trumps approaching Russia as to confirm collusion in the strictest sense. But Russia interfered in the election on behalf of Trump and definitely had connections and influence over the campaign. It just seemingly was a one-way street because fucking Trump is stupid and the people around Trump are stupid. And they were just being used. So they couldn't prove collusion. That's why, like, I had a radio host wanted to take a bet with me in 2017, whenever all this got started. March or whatever. It was like, I'll bet they don't find collusion. And I'm like, I'm not going to take that bet because they're going to find evidence that Russia interfered. But it's not going to be collusion in the strictest sense, and you're going to claim that you won the bet, and I'm going to be like, no, I won the bet, and we're going to just, like, be at a stalemate. And that's exactly what fucking happened. I mean, not the thing with the bet. I have no clue how the bet would have went, how he would have he would have said that. That's exactly what would have happened, but the bet didn't actually happen because I knew better.
Went on record telling Schiff's committee that there was no direct evidence for his criminal conspiracy. Yet to this day, Schiff actively fundraises off of his exploitation of Americans as if robbing them from the truth and $32 million in taxpayer dollars was not enough.
Wild.
Can anyone in this chamber comprehend this list of crimes and yet somehow believe that there should not be an answer for it? This is not a partisan act. This is not a conservative versus liberal vote. This is a clear vote between right and wrong, and I urge you to do the right thing. I will end with repeating with what I started with. The American people do not trust Congress. The cyclical pattern of lies has worn down the credibility of every institution and every official in the United States government.
Zero self-awareness.
If we run away from this opportunity to hold this man accountable, there is only one fault, and that is of ourselves.
Absolutely insane. This was what Schiff's response to Anna Paulina Luna, the representative from Florida.
I yield to the distinguished gentleman from California, the former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Mr. Schiff, for as much time as he may consume.
The gentleman's recognized.
To my Republican colleagues who introduced this resolution, I thank you. You honor me with your enmity.
Okay, so this was his comments earlier that we listened to.
You who are the authors of a big lie about the last election must condemn the truth tellers, and I stand proudly before you. Your words tell me that I have been effective in the defense of our democracy, and I am grateful. And yet this false and defamatory resolution comes at a considerable cost to the country and to the Congress. At a moment when millions of people in our home state of California are unable to find a place to live or afford a place to live, Speaker McCarthy chooses to occupy the resources of Congress for 2 straight weeks on this hollow sop to the MAGA crowd. He offers nothing to those who are homeless or addicted to opioids or to millions of college students mired in debt, but this paltry distraction. Donald Trump is under indictment for actions that jeopardize our national security, and McCarthy would spend the nation's time on petty political payback, thinking he can censure or fine Trump's opposition into submission. But I will not yield, not 1 inch. The cost to the Speaker's delinquency is high, but the cost to Congress of this frivolous and yet dangerous resolution may be even higher, as it represents another serious abuse of power. Donald Trump has threatened that any of you that defy him and vote against this partisan resolution will be met by a primary challenge. And he calls for my imprisonment. If a transient majority can punish and attempt to silence members who hold a corrupt president to account, there is no telling what further corruption of office will follow. And I say this to Speaker McCarthy and others who wish to gratify Donald Trump with this act of subservience or bend to his demands. Try as you might to expel me from Congress or silence me with a $16 million fine, you will not succeed. You might as well make it $160 million. You will never deter me from doing my duty. No matter how many false justifications or slanders you level against me, you but indict yourselves. As Liz Cheney said, there will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain. This resolution attacks me for initiating an investigation into Trump campaign solicitation and acceptance of Russian help in the 2016 election, even though the investigation was first led not by me, but by a Republican chairman. It would hold that when you give internal campaign polling data and your polling data to a Russian intelligence operative, while Russian intelligence is helping your campaign, as Trump's campaign chairman did, that you must not call that collusion, though that is its proper name, as the country well knows. It would fine me for the costs of the critically important Mueller investigation into Trump's misconduct, even though the special counsel was appointed by Trump's own attorney general. It would reprimand me over a flawed FISA application as if I were its author or I was the director of the FBI, and over flaws only discovered years later and by the Inspector General, not Mr. Durham. In short, it would accuse me of omnipotence, the leader of some vast deep state conspiracy, and of course, it is nonsense. But here, is the real gravamen of my offense. I led the first impeachment of Donald Trump for one of the most egregious presidential abuses of power in our history. And I led a trial which resulted in the first bipartisan vote to remove a president in history. And I would do so again. I warned that if Trump was not held accountable, he would go on to try to cheat in even worse ways in the next election, and he did, inciting a violent attack on this very Capitol. And after that, I participated in some of the most important hearings in congressional history, hearings that exposed Donald Trump's incitement of a dangerous to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. My colleagues, if there is cause for censure in this House, and there is, it should be directed at those in this body who sought to overturn a free and fair election. The question, my Republican colleagues, is not why am I the subject of this false resolution for doing my constitutional duty, but why are you not? Why are you not standing beside me, the subject of a similar rebuke for speaking the truth? Why did you not stand up to Donald Trump? Why did you not reject his immorality? Why did you not condemn his dishonesty? Why did you not speak out when his horde attacked this Capitol, or now when he treats the nation's secrets with such carelessness, lawlessness, and disdain? Why did you hide from efforts to hold him accountable? Why were you silent, afraid, unwilling to do your ethical, constitutional duty? Why did you cower? Why did you cower? And why do you still? Will it be said of you,
because right-wingers are morons,
to stand up to the most immoral, unlawful, and unethical president in history, but console yourselves by attacking those who did? Today, I wear this partisan vote as a badge of honor, knowing that I have lived my oath, knowing that I have done my duty to hold a dangerous and out-of-control president accountable, and knowing that I would do so again in a heartbeat if the circumstances should ever require it. I thank you, and I yield back.
Fantastic speech from Adam Schiff. Shortly before they censored him, one of the reasons why I think that they voted to censor him is because he's a pain in their ass, just like he was this morning during the Durham hearings, which were complete and utter nonsense. He got into it with Jim Jordan, the committee chairman, during the Durham hearings.
Yields back.
The House Judiciary Committee.
Gentle lady from Texas has a unanimous consent, I think. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to submit records from the Department of Justice reflecting meetings with the U.S. Attorney John Durham. These records were in response to American Oversight's request for DOJ communications between the offices of the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General and the Durham or his first assistant. I ask unanimous consent to place this in the record of this hearing.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent.
Gentleman from California.
Mr. Chairman, you and your colleagues have continually cited to Steve DeUnio's transcribed interviews using selected statements taken out of context. I move for unanimous consent to enter the entire transcript into the record so the American public can see for itself exactly what he said.
Yeah, we will work on that. Yeah,
we'll work on that.
We'll talk with the chairman. We want to make that fully available.
Mr. Chairman, you're objecting to a unanimous consent request then to some...
Mr. Chairman, I object.
Okay.
So if I understand correctly, Mr. Chairman, you're happy to cite selected portions of the transcript out of context, but you're not happy to see...
Mr. Chairman, there's an objection. Is there further action?
You don't want the American public to see this, Mr. Issa?
Roll call vote, please.
Yeah.
There's no vote on that.
I just want to clarify for the gentleman. We want to put the transcript out. But there's a couple. We got a little work to do on certain names that have to be redacted for obvious reasons. But yeah, we definitely want to put the transcript out. We'll work with the minority to make sure that happens. I thought it was an amazing interview by Mr. D'Antuono, the former head of the Washington field office. We want that information out.
Sir, you can't tell me that you like information being out, because I know that you like to participate in cover-ups. Like when you covered up the sexual abuse of wrestlers at Ohio State University, you gigantic piece of shit.
Out to the public, and we'll make sure it happens.
Can I suggest, Mr. Chairman, that you grant the request subject to redactions to protect personally private information?
So, without objection, so ordered.
Thank you very much.
Gentleman from California is
And you have accepted my submission. I didn't
did
hear
that right away.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman from California is recognized.
So those fireworks happened during the Durham hearing, but you didn't actually get to hear from John Durham. Here is Matt Gaetz thinking he hit a home run.
From Indiana.
A quick follow-up on CHS-1 from page 243, who, according to your report, created conspiracy allegation in direct conflict with his recording and misstated significant and material fact to the FBI, among other things, and you are unable to establish his intent. Would you be able to provide to the committee a recording of your CHS-1 interview on April 6, 2021? Per page
That is not Matt Gaetz.
or any other
Matt Gaetz is coming.
Yes or no?
Did you refer to page 43? I'm sorry if I can just find it on page 43.
Page 92, would you provide recording to the committee that you list? Yes or no?
The recording with confidential human source 1, I think, is what she's asking about, and she would like that provided. She's asking if that could be provided to the committee, Mr. Durham.
I mean, it's a piece of evidence that belongs to the FBI. I think probably that's better directed to the FBI.
Okay.
Reclaiming my time, Mr. Durham, this seems to all started with one person, but I don't see his name in your report. I see it in Mueller's report 89 times. Who did Mr. Papadopoulos meet with that gave him this supposed Russian information?
When Mr. Papadopoulos was interviewed by the FBI,
Yes, Thomas Massey.
He had identified Joseph Mifsud as a person who had provided him that information.
Did you interview Joseph Mifsud?
We attempted to interview him. We pursued every lead that we had. We talked to a lawyer that he had in Europe, but we never were able to actually make contact with him so we could interview him.
Do you think he's a Western source? Is he associated with Western intelligence?
It's hard to say who Mr. Mifsud is associated with. He was tied up with Link University, Mr. Scotti, who had involvement in the Italian government, and they were acquainted. Hard to say who Mifsud.
I'm going to yield the remainder of my time to Mr. Gaetz.
Hard to say who Mifsud is. He's the guy who started the whole thing. We've known it for years. Go ahead and play the video.
I have no clue what he's talking about, but apparently this is a big deal
When the
to Matt
special
Gaetz.
counsel's office interviewed Mifsud, did he lie to you guys too?
Can't get into that.
Did you interview Mifsud?
Can't get into that.
Is Mifsud Western intelligence or Russian intelligence?
Can't get into that.
Well, I'm reading from your report. Mifsud told Papadopoulos. Papadopoulos tells the diplomat tells the FBI opens the investigation July 31st, 2016.
Oh, that's who that is.
3 years later, July of 2019, the country's been put through this, and the central figure who launches it all lies to us, and you guys don't hunt him down and interview him again, and you don't charge him with a crime. Maybe a better course of action is to figure out how the false accusation started.
He wasn't American, was he?
Go back and actually figure out why Joseph Mifsud was lying to the FBI. And here's the good news. Here's the good news. That's exactly what Bill Barr's doing. And thank goodness for that. That's exactly what the Attorney General and John Durham are doing.
Mr. Durham, was that what you were doing?
I'm sorry, is that what?
Was finding out who Mifsud was what you were doing?
We pursued that avenue, yes.
Right, but was he... This whole thing was an op, Mr. Durham. This wasn't like a bumbling, fumbling FBI that like couldn't get FISA straight. They ran an op. So who put Mifsud in play? You don't know, do you?
I do not know that. I can't give you the
For
answer.
years, you had years to find out the answer to what Mr. Jordan said was the seminal question, and you don't have it. And it just begs the question whether or not you were really trying to find that out. Because it's one thing to criticize the FBI for their FISA violations, to write a report. They've been criticized in plenty of reports. Some have referred to your work as just a repackaging and regurgitation of what the Inspector General already told us. So if you weren't going to do what Mr. Jordan said you were going to do in that video and give us the basis for all of it, what's this all been about?
Well, I'm not exactly sure the import of your question. If your question is, did we try to locate and interview Mr. Mifsud? The answer is yes.
Why didn't you subpoena
We expended...
Wait, why didn't you subpoena him? to a grand jury?
I'm sorry, why not?
Why didn't you send him a grand jury subpoena?
Mr. Mifsud? You'd have to find Mr. Mifsud before you could serve a grand jury subpoena on him.
Well, you guys were out in Italy. Was it you and Bill Barr looking for authentic pasta over there, or Mifsud?
No, we not. We were looking for information that might help us locate Mifsud.
But you know who I think could probably locate him? The features of Western intelligence and possibly our own government that put him in play. Like, your report seems to be less an indictment of the FBI and more of an inoculation, lowercase I, of course. And like many inoculations, may have worse consequences down the road. We'll have some time to discuss this matter further, but it's just hard to like pretend as though this was a sincere effort when you don't get to the fundamental thing that started the whole deal. I yield back.
I was with my family for 4 years, essentially doing this investigation. Is my view is a sincere effort. The fact that you can't find somebody overseas should not come as a big surprise.
Could you find Azra's hurt?
Reclaiming my time, is he alive or dead?
Oh, no. No. I would love to know if he's alive or dead, but wasn't he Australian? And he was in Italy? Like, I don't think he was American, was he? I'm fuzzy on this because, like, it's not exactly the biggest deal. I for one don't think everybody is an FBI plant, and I kind of doubt that this dude was an FBI plant, but I also don't know enough about it. Seriously, do not believe that the FBI was trying to entrap Donald Trump. I can't wrap my head around that. Clinically, good evening. I did a couple of dabs and I'm blown the fuck away. And we're watching clips from the Durham hearing earlier today in the House Judiciary Committee. This is Jerry Nadler getting ready to sick it to Durham, and apparently this is amazing shit.
This is the gentleman from New York. Mr. Durham, can you pull that microphone real close so everyone can hear what you say?
Real close.
Gentleman from New York's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Durham, your report reads like a defense of the Trump campaign and an attack on Hillary Clinton because that's exactly what it is. Donald Trump wanted you to investigate the investigators to show the deep state conspiracy, but you never found one. Instead, you gave him and his MAGA Republicans the next best thing, someone else to blame for Donald Trump's problems. That's why you're here today, because the chairman and his colleagues need someone, anyone, to deflect from the mounting evidence of Trump's misconduct. Let me remind you that Donald Trump was federally indicted on 37 counts for mishandling classified information. 37 counts. That's why you're here today, not because of anything that happened in 2016. Ms. Durham, your investigation cost more than $6.5 million, involved the work of dozens of FBI employees and federal prosecutors, some of whom resigned in protest, and took roughly 4 years to complete. Is that correct?
No.
It's not correct.
No, I mean, there were multiple parts of that.
Did it take 4 years to complete?
Correct.
Okay. And with all these resources and all these people you were sent to help you investigate the investigators, you only filed 3 criminal cases. You only brought 2 cases to trial, correct?
Correct.
And you lost all the cases you brought to trial, correct?
Correct.
In fact, 2 juries acquitted your defendants on all charges. And the one conviction that you obtained, the defendant pleaded guilty to a single count and never went to trial, correct?
Correct.
I will note that in that case, the primary investigative steps were all completed by Inspector General Horowitz. Perhaps you were better when it came to your report. From my reading, your report did not make any specific concrete recommendations to improve DOJ or FBI policies or procedures.
Don't be mean to Donald Trump.
The report repeatedly references the recommendations made by Inspector General Horowitz, almost all of which DOJ and FBI have already implemented. Again, your investigation lasted 4 years. 4 years and untold sums of money, and you still obtained only 1 conviction. You did produce a 300-page report, though, and that's given my Republican counterparts plenty of material to spin. Mr. Durham, George Papadopoulos was a foreign policy advisor to the Trump campaign in spring 2016. Isn't that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And in May 2016, he told an Australian diplomat that the Trump team had...
And I want you to know, you're not really getting a taste of it here, having watched, a good chunk of it this morning. When Republicans were asking him... Matt Gaetz was adversarial. Like, amazingly enough, Matt Gaetz did a really good job of questioning him. That was fascinating. But most of the Republicans were trying to suck his ass and make him look good. So when Republicans were questioning him, he knew everything off the top of his head. He like never missed a beat answering questions. But when Democrats were grilling him, he was like, like you're seeing him do with Nadler here.
Received some kind of suggestion from Russia that it could assist this process with the anonymous release of information during the campaign that would be damaging to Secretary Clinton. This is a fact that came out during the Mueller investigation, and your investigation found nothing to dispute this fact, correct?
There's more detail to that in the report.
Did it find anything to dispute this report, to dispute this fact?
No.
Okay. On page 50 of your report, you wrote that on July 28, 2016, FBI headquarters received the Australian information that formed the basis for the opening of Crossfire Hurricane, correct?
Correct.
So this fantasy that some MAGA Republicans have created, where the investigation was started for any reason other than a Trump campaign operative bragging to Australian intelligence assets about Russian dirt that would damage Hillary Clinton, is not true. And when the FBI received that information, according to your report, it had not just the predication to investigate. There is no question, you wrote, that the FBI had an affirmative obligation to closely examine the Australian information. Isn't that right?
The FBI had an obligation to examine.
So that's correct. So the origin of the investigation was not the Steele dossier. It was not Alpha Bank. It was a Trump aide's loose lips about his campaign's advanced view into a hack that had a profound effect on the 2016 election. That information supplied by the Australian government gave the FBI predication to begin an investigation. I'd like to discuss one more false conclusion about your report that's made its way into the MAGA Republican talking points. Some of my colleagues across the aisle have started calling this the, quote, Russia hoax. It's the theory that Russia did not actually interfere in the 2016 presidential election. That is patently false. In 2017, during the Trump administration,
See, that's what I'm always asking when they say Russia hoax. What do you mean? Because, like, there is evidence that Russia didn't sway the 2016 election. But that's a completely different claim than Russia didn't interfere in the election. Or that they weren't interfering on behalf of the Trump campaign, or that the Trump campaign didn't welcome their help, or that they didn't have numerous ties. Both the Senate Intelligence Committee report and the Mueller report found that there were over 100 campaign connections between Russia and the Trump campaign. So, Russia hoax what? I don't know what you mean. Come on, man.
Come on, man! The Director of National Intelligence declassified a report on Russian activity in the 2016 election. You're aware of this report, correct?
Correct.
And in this report, the intelligence community found that, quote, Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign in 2016 aimed at the U.S. presidential election. Russia's goals were to undermine public faith in the U.S. democratic process, denigrate Secretary Clinton, and harm her electability and potential presidency. We further assess Putin and the Russian government developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump, close quote. You did not dispute that Trump ordered an influence campaign to influence the 2016 election in your report, did you?
As I said, there was a real
Yes or
Russian
no?
threat.
No. Okay. Special Counsel Mueller indicted 12 Russian intelligence officers in July 2018. Isn't that right?
Correct.
The 12 intelligence officers were indicted for attacking the Clinton campaign. On page 55 of your report, you acknowledge that at a press conference in 2016, Donald Trump on camera said, Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And 2 years later at the Helsinki
Regular order.
summit, Trump told the press that he believed Russian President Putin over his own intelligence officials when he told them Russia did not interfere during the 2016 elections season. I see my time has expired. I yield back.
Nadler roasted him.
Respond if he chooses to. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina.
Nadler, laid the fire to him on that one. Not the biggest Jerry Nadler fan, but he definitely put the boots to John Durham, who apparently lied to Congress, which last time I checked was a pretty big crime. We're going to go to Mother Jones here. David Korn and Dan Friedman say John Durham just made false statements to Congress. The former special counsel denied 2 essential facts of the Trump-Russia scandal. Special counsel, who was appointed by then Attorney General Bill Barr to investigate the FBI's investigation of the Trump-Russia scandal, and who utterly failed to produce evidence it was a hoax, testified before the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday, and in doing so, he made false statements to Congress. He might even have lied. Durham spent 4 years on a crusade that Donald Trump and others hoped would back up Trump's claims that the Russia investigation was cooked up by his enemies within the supposed deep state. Yet Durham came up empty on this front, losing 2 jury trials unrelated to the origins of the FBI's inquiry and winning a guilty plea from an FBI lawyer who had altered an email to support a surveillance warrant for a former Trump campaign advisor. He prosecuted no FBI officials or Obama administration officials for the supposedly big crime of mounting a plot or witch hunt against Trump. Durham even concluded there was justification for the FBI to have initiated a preliminary investigation, just not a full investigation, of Russia's attack on the 2016 election. When Durham came before the committee, House Republicans eagerly picked over the scraps in his final report, which had been much criticized, and they treated him as a hero. But under questioning from Democratic and Republican members, Durham misrepresented key aspects of the Russia scandal, suggesting he was either unfamiliar with the basic facts or was purposely trying to mislead the committee and the American public. Justin. During his turn to question Durham, Representative Adam Schiff asked Durham about the infamous meeting held in Trump Tower when Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, and Paul Manafort, 3 of Trump's top campaign advisors, sat down with an emissary of the Russian government whom they were told had dirt on Hillary Clinton to share. An email sent to Trump Jr. from a business associate that set up this session informed the candidate's son that this meeting was part of a secret Russian scheme to help Trump's campaign. Durham dismissed the matter, remarking, "People get phone calls all the time from individuals who claim to have information like that." The meeting signaled to Moscow that the Trump camp was receptive to Russian endeavors to intervene in the election to boost Trump's chances, and Schiff expressed surprise that Durham found it insignificant. "Are you really trying to diminish the importance of what happened here?" Durham answered, "The more complete story is that they met, and it was a ruse, and they didn't talk about Mrs. Clinton." That is not true. The report produced by the special counsel, Robert Mueller, notes that the Russian emissary, a lawyer named Natalia Vasilyenka, I fucked that up completely, Vasilnisakia, did discuss Clinton. Participants agreed that Vasilnisakia stated that the Ziv brothers, an American family investment firm, had broken Russian laws and had donated their profits to the DNC or the Clinton campaign. She asserted that the Ziff brothers had engaged in tax evasion and money laundering in both the United States and Russia. There was no evidence that Ziff brothers' investments had engaged in wrongdoing. The Mueller report points out that Trump Jr. zeroed in on this. Trump Jr. asked follow-up questions about how the alleged payments could be tied specifically to the Clinton campaign. But Vasilyenka, I still fucked it up, indicated that she could not trace the money once it entered the United States. The report quotes a participant in the meeting recalling that Trump Jr. asked what the Russians have on Clinton. Durham's characterization of the meeting, that it had nothing to do with Clinton, lined up with what the Trump camp first claimed when the meeting was revealed a year afterward. At the time, Trump Jr. issued a false statement dictated by his father and insisted Vosnieska. Thank you, Pork. Still probably fucked it up, but that was closer. That was a phony cover story. Later on, when more information came out, even the elder Trump conceded that the point of the meeting was to gather negative information on Clinton from a foreign adversary. In a subsequent change with Representative Tom McClintock, Durham misled the committee about another key element of the Trump-Russia scandal. McClintock observed that the central charge in the Russia collusion hoax was that the Trump campaign operatives were in contact with Russian intelligence sources. Replying to that remark, Durham said there was no such evidence. That's not true. While running Trump's campaign in the summer of 2016, Manafort had regular contact with Konstantin Kalimnik, I got the last name right. A former Manafort employee in Ukraine who had been repeatedly identified by U.S. government officials as a Russian agent. In a detailed bipartisan 2020 report, the Senate Intelligence Committee, then chaired by Republican Senator Marco Rubio, called Kalimnik a Russian intelligence officer. A year earlier, the Mueller report said the FBI assesses that Kalimnik has ties to Russian intelligence. So there you have it. Durham lied twice, at least, to the committee. So someone should open an investigation into Durham for opening an investigation into opening the investigation into Donald Trump. We've got like a turducken of investigations, a whole what was that fucking movie? I'm blanking. It's like Christopher Nolan and they go into the dream worlds. That's what I get for doing the dabs. Inception. Me more smarter when me smoke dabs. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. After a GOP walkout, Oregon passes an amended bill on abortion and trans care as well as guns. Oregon lawmakers have passed amended versions of two bills that were at the center of a 6-week Republican walkout. Oregon lawmakers on Wednesday officially passed amended versions of the two bills relating to guns and abortion and gender-affirming care. This is a clunkily written article. It's not all my fault. It's half my fault, half the article. Snicks, I thought you were going to grab your drink. Light one up, tip one back. Their final passage coming the week after Republicans stopped their boycott and just days before the end of the legislative session on June 25th highlighted the partisan hurdles that were overcome to bring the GOP walkout to an end. But while the negotiated bipartisan agreements allowed the bills to progress and ultimately receive their final floor vote in the State House on Wednesday, they did not pass with support from both sides of the aisle. Multiple GOP lawmakers spoke on the House floor to voice their opposition to the bills before the votes. Republican State Rep. Emily McIntyre said that while she was grateful for the changes to the bill on abortion and gender-affirming care, she still could not support it. It is not with joy, but with a lot of trepidation and unease that I am here today. I know that what I say to you today is most likely not going to change the outcome of this bill, but please know, we believe that we get to a place where we can all be working together. As part of the deal to end the Republican senator's 6-week walkout, the longest in the history of the Oregon legislature, Democrats agreed to change parts of the two bills. In the bill protecting access to abortion and expanding coverage for gender-affirming care, the language concerning parental notifications for abortion was modified. Fuzzy Face, good evening. Under the compromise, if an abortion provider believes notifying the parents of a patient under 15 years old would not be in that patient's best interest, the physician would not have to notify the parents, but would need another provider to concur. However, no second opinion would be needed if involving a parent or guardian would lead to the abuse or neglect of the patient. Additionally, the requirement that public universities with student health centers provide emergency contraception and medication abortions was dropped. Sections requiring health insurance to cover medically necessary gender-affirming care for transgender people were not changed. Democrats said that even with the changes, the bill will still ensure abortion access and shield providers from legal action originating in states where the procedure is now banned or restricted. So there you go. Finally able to move forward with common sense bills in Oregon that Republicans have been protesting by walking out of the state legislature. But Republicans are just disgusting individuals now, aren't they? You don't need me to tell you that. They continually do fucking bullshit that makes you just despise them. I don't want to despise other individuals. I don't want to despise other people. Don't make me have to hate you. Stop doing shit like this. Michigan GOP chair says outrage over her Holocaust tweet was completely hilarious. Christina Caramo, a far-right hero, doubled down on her GOP organization's official tweet that invoked the Holocaust to attack gun restrictions and sparked outrage. After suffering a set of embarrassing defeats in last year's election, Michigan Republicans tapped their worst-performing statewide candidate, Christina Caramo, to lead them back to relevance in 2024 as state party chair. Unsurprisingly, however, Caramo, who once accused Beyonce of spreading paganism. I think Beyonce's like a Southern Baptist or some shit. I think Beyonce, like, I'm not certain of this and I don't listen to a lot of Beyonce, but like I like a few songs. I'm pretty sure she's got that Southern churchin' in her. You got that Creole and the daddy from Alabama, and you mix it with that Creole and Texas baby yama. I fucked the lyrics completely up. I tried to make a Beyonce joke. I am sorry. I'm sorry to the Bayhive. Is that what they call it? Bayhive, do not come after me. Beyonce's totally cool in my book. I like several of her songs. Anyway, we're going to talk about Michael Jackson. We're going to talk about Michael Jackson in this show. Unsurprisingly, however, Caramo, who once accused Beyonce of spreading paganism and believes demonic possession is real, is already doubling down on the far-right rhetoric that doomed her own campaign for Secretary of State in 2022. Speaking at a party function on May 17th, Caramo laughed off concerns about a tweet from the Michigan GOP that invoked the Holocaust to condemn gun control measures, according to audio obtained by the Daily Beast. Do we have this audio? This is the tweet. I don't think the Daily Beast ever gives us the audio. The Michigan GOP, they never took it down. I'm sure like the Holocaust Museum corrected them or some shit. Before they collected all these wedding rings, they collected all the guns. By the way, also ahistorical. Not true. Not true. German population was disarmed following World War I and the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler restored gun rights to the German people. But right-wingers are morons. Figures in both parties criticized the tweet as an offensive trivialization of the Holocaust. The head of the Republican Jewish coalition called it absolutely inappropriate and called the Michigan GOP to take it down immediately. As you can see, it is still up. In her remarks on the Lincoln Day dinner in Montclair County, Caramo made clear she did not care about such concerns, even dismissing the continued anger over the tweet. Hilarious. Completely hilarious. They're still going on and on about that. Are you going to apologize? I'm like, really? Are you guys still going on about that? Referencing her identity as a black woman, Caramo said, I get this mail and it's about how I'm encouraging white supremacy and xenophobia, all this. I just laugh so hard. Hold on, I need to switch it up. I haven't broke out Rudy in a while.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Oh, I'm sorry. Both of those echo. I need to fix that. The thing. My apologies. You want some more Supreme Court justice drama? Boy, is the Supreme Court corrupt. How many Supreme Court justices are bought and paid for by billionaires? Sorry, clinically. Sorry. It's my board. I need a new board. I've got some extra money, but like I feel like I need to take like Socks has been acting kind of weird. I'm gonna take him to the vet, but I really need a new board. Anyway, all of them are on the dole, Dustin says. That's a good possibility. The latest one is Judge Samuel Alito.
Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito facing ethics questions now after a new report from ProPublica. It alleges that Alito accepted several high-paying gifts from a billionaire friend, including an undisclosed luxury fishing trip to Alaska on a private jet in 2008. That same billionaire had roughly 10 cases before the court over the last few years, but Alito failed to disclose their friendship or recuse himself from any of those cases. ProPublica did reach out to Alito for a response, but rather
I hate these fuckers.
directly, Justice Alito wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal attacking the report, saying neither claim is valid. This comes after another ProPublica report on similar ethics concerns for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas came about. ABC News senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer has been following all of this for us. He covers the Supreme Court.
I ain't high enough for this shit.
What in this report stands out to you the most right now?
Well, this report, Kira, is from 15 years ago, 2008. As you said, Justice Samuel Alito went on this fishing trip to Alaska, and he stayed at a lodge there, $1,000 a night. But the real kicker is that he took a flight on the billionaire's jet. Paul Singer is the man's name. He's a hedge fund manager. And that flight up to Alaska could have cost up to $100,000 for the average person if you booked it yourself. None of that was disclosed in his financial disclosure forms, which would seem to be required by federal law passed after the Nixon Watergate scandal. And so what we've heard in the past 24 hours from Justice Alito in the pages of the Wall Street Journal is that he did nothing wrong. He said, look, the rules were clear at the time that personal hospitality is exempt from reporting. He thought that he had followed those rules, and that, of course, at the time that he went on this trip, none of Paul Singer's hedge funds had come before the court, and he says he didn't discuss it. But bottom line here is this doesn't look good. It comes in the wave, part of this wave of reports of the past few weeks.
Yes, can we please do something about this corrupt court?
Certain things, and it just underscores, Kira, how opaque the transparency rules are on the nation's highest court.
So in his op-ed for the Wall Street Journal, Alito defended his failure to report about the 2008 trip to Alaska and said that he ultimately went aboard Singer's private jet because it would, quote, have otherwise been an unoccupied seat.
Nobody else would be in there.
Acceptable response?
Well, I don't know whether or not the seat was occupied or would have been occupied is relevant to the analysis. It was sort of a curious line from the justice in the Wall Street Journal. But fact of the matter is, as he points out there, that at the time he took this trip back in 2008, the guidelines were clear that personal hospitality, things like going over to a friend's house for dinner, joining them even on holiday at a summer lodge, maybe even going on a fishing trip, don't need to be reported. Those are things that the government has said, public officials are allowed to have personal lives, they're allowed to have friends, they're allowed to wine and dine even with well-heeled and well-connected people, and that can even include Paul Singer. So that's Samuel Alito's argument, but he does sort of, walk the line on whether or not this flight qualified for the exemption. The law talks about hospitality and lodging and facilities. And Samuel Alito, in his defense, says that he interpreted facilities to include flights, and that's why he didn't include it.
So rather than responding directly to the report, he writes this op-ed once again behind a paywall for the Wall Street Journal. What does this tell you about how seriously he's taking these reports? He's just going to the newspapers.
It's extraordinary to see a sitting justice.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're in Supreme Court prime time. They're in the midst of handing down some very high stakes.
Impeach them all.
In the next few days, taking to the pages of one of America's, top newspapers to pre-butt a report about him in ProPublica. This op-ed from Justice Alito came out before the story was even published, so he came to his own defense. What does that tell you? It tells you that this is a justice that's going to fight back. This is a group of conservatives on this court that does not believe that they need new ethics rules, and he was laying out in that article.
Roberts can stay. He's the only one, but he's slimy as fuck too.
Again, talking about needing to push
the rest of them need to be impeached.
To rein in the Supreme Court on ethics.
Devin Dwyer, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube.
Roberts has had some reasonable opinions over the years. Ted Cruz responded to the allegations against Judge Samuel Alito. His response: tell me how many free flights Ruth Bader Ginsburg took. Ted Cruz dismisses latest Supreme Court bombshell. If ProPublica wants to look into any corruption with Ruth Bader Ginsburg or any of the other Democrats, I'm totally into it. It's not, Republicans say that shit, and it's not the own they think it is. Many members of Congress aren't buying Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito's excuse after a blockbuster report revealed a luxury fishing vacation paid for by a billionaire who had matters before the court. The latest ethics issue compounds ongoing questions about conflicts of interest on the Supreme Court. Fire Ruth too, then! A little too late for that. Representative Tina Smith, a Democrat of Minnesota, complained of the court. You would think they'd want to get their act together. I think that the first thing you have to see is that the court is broken. Smith told Ross Story. This ProPublica story about Alito is very reminiscent of the Justice Thomas story. There's us some Ted Cruz. But when Ross Story asked Senator Ted Cruz, he said, I'll tell you what, I'll answer that question when you tell me how many free flights Ruth Bader Ginsburg took, how many free flights Stephen Breyer took, Justice Sonia Sotomayor took. They've been to Cancun with Ted Cruz. He alleged that the press isn't applying the same pressure to democratically appointed justices. Cruz did go on record saying rules should apply fairly and across the board. I kind of sound like George W. Bush when I was doing my Ted Cruz impersonation. They're both from Texas. I think they're both pretending to be Texas. Ted Cruz from Canada and George W. Bush from Connecticut. All right, it's the moment you guys have all been waiting for. I don't even know where to start. When I was putting this together, I didn't know where to start. We'll do the serious one first. You want to do the serious one? We'll start with the Today Show. Speaking of billionaires and travel arrangements, we're gonna start with the serious story, and I'm gonna tell you this story gets funnier and funnier the more you learn about it. So earlier today on the Today Show, they brought on a former passenger of the submersive vehicle giving cruises down to the Titanic. Here's what this dude that's in Boston had to say.
Aaron Newman, he knows several of the people who are aboard that sub, and he also knows what it's like to be inside that very sub, the Titan. He himself took a trip down to the Titanic back in 2021. Aaron, good morning. Let's just start with the breaking news that we have overnight. There were banging sounds that were heard from beneath the ocean.
I might not be monetized on Kick yet clinically. That might be something that comes later.
Obviously, our focus is just on...
It won't take me long.
Just hoping for this Hollywood ending to happen. And we know the Coast Guard and everybody else is working so hard. So this is, and the Ocean Gate crew is working as hard as they can to possibly find this if anything is out there. So it's obviously exciting news. It's promising, but there's work to be done, and that's what the focus is. So
pretty sure they did.
Not losing any sleep over what's going on, and just continue the mission.
It's fairly unique, the perspective you have, because you've actually been on this very submersible. So paint us a picture of what it would be like right now for those passengers who are aboard. What is it like to descend to the ocean in this vehicle?
Well, I mean, it's an amazing journey, right? So many people, and these are not amateurs that are on. Even the mission specialists or the tourists that are on, these are people that have lived on the edge for a long time. So these are people that are excited by this stuff, you know, and you know, the journey is amazing. You're basically going to another planet at the bottom of the ocean like this, 4,000 meter down, and you know, the idea of you're getting in this craft, you're bolted in. It's a tube that's comfortable but not spacious, and at the surface, when you first get in, it gets very hot and stuffy, and so you're layering down, and you have a little packed lunch with you and a little bit of water. But you're planning for the day to be there, and you know, as you start to descend through the water column, it is an amazing journey to see the light very quickly disappear, and within 5-10 minutes, you're in pitch dark, complete dark. You know, and you have the lights from the sub, right? You have the lights from the submersible that you can see outside and internally, but without those, your light is gone at any depth below a couple hundred meters. So, so anyone in that would be in complete darkness if they didn't have power still at this point. So, and by the time you hit the bottom, the water down there is below what a standard freezing temperature is. So the water is 29, 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So, you know, and that's going to conduct right through that metal. So it was cold when we were at the bottom. You know, you had layered up, you had wool hats on, and we're doing everything to stay warm at that bottom.
Let's talk more about the passengers on board. Like you said, they're not your sort of ordinary civilians. These are explorers, and you know some of them personally. Tell us about them.
Yes, these are. I mean, I'll start with Stockton. You know, he's somebody who had this vision, and he wants to take people to the bottom of the ocean. And you know, he definitely had this vision, and he built it. And you know, so he was an amazing guy, and you know, he made a lot happen. And he was on every mission, right? Not every single one, but he was always leading the charge. So he was a guy who was, you know, not sitting in the back instructing people. He was leading the charge. So I spoke with him last week about possibly diving in the Azores, and so you know, he was really. This was just the beginning of his vision of what he wanted. And you know, people like PH, the French explorer, he's been down to the Titanic more than anyone else. You know, he's the one that brought up the Las Vegas exhibit. So this is a guy who soft-spoken, humble, but he's he's probably the leading sub expert out there. And then Hamish, I mean, here's another guy who's records and done amazing things. So none of these people were people that were, I would consider tourists. Tourist is such a bad term. These are people who lived on the edge and
oh yeah, sure. Hamish, he's done amazing things. That's one of the things about Hamish I learned today. He is a old white guy who apparently doesn't hire old white guys because they don't do amazing things. I'm telling you, this gets funnier and funnier the more you hear about it. Well, Titanic.
Start the business. One of the things you'll find, there are other sub operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology.
That was CEO Stockton Rush. I got the word wrong. It was inspirational. He didn't hire old white men because they weren't inspirational. You want to know what's inspirational to me? These are I live for moments like this. I feel alive with stories like this. I live for this shit. One of the most interesting facts about this story, and one of the things that makes me laugh more than anything, is the fact that they're down there almost certainly suffocating in their own piss while Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On is playing on a loop. So the tour's audio guide appears to be shutting down and resetting every few minutes, which means it is likely playing the tour introduction, which includes Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On, over and over. The story gets funnier the more you find out about it. So yeah, last night we found out that he skirted safety regulations. He didn't put the safety beacons on it like the rescuer that we heard from on the news was talking about. The CEO purposefully didn't do that because he says sometimes you just go too far with safety. Another hilarious fact about this. Here is a tweet from June 1st, just 20 days ago, where Ocean Gate Expeditions says, despite being in the middle of the North Atlantic, we have the internet connection we need to make our Titanic dive operations a success. Thank you, Starlink, Elon Musk's company. It gets funnier and funnier the more you find out about it. And you may say, Justin, well, you don't know the guy's character. He might have been a nice guy. The whole shirking safety regulations, that it only hurts him. You don't have any evidence he hurt other people. Oh, but yes, I do. A Florida couple said Ocean Gate refused to refund their $210,000 they paid to visit the Titanic, even though they never made the trip. He went, nuh-uh, non-refundable. Oh, shit. In February, a Florida couple sued the company's CEO, alleging he failed to refund the more than $210,000. The expedition was postponed for more than 4 years, the couple alleged in the suit. Wait a minute. Were they supposed to go on it and then COVID happened and then he just didn't give the money back? Holy shit. Federal agencies are currently scrambling to locate Ocean Gate's submersible. We don't care about that part. In 2018, a former employee warned that the sub's safety could be compromised by poor quality control and safety protocols. A group of dozens of underwater adventurers, marine biologists, and submarine pilots. Marine biologists are only motherfuckers I give a shit about going down to the bottom of the ocean. They get to do that shit. So the marine biologists and submarine pilots echoed the former employee's safety concerns 2 months later. Still, in a 2019 interview, Rush criticized submersible safety regulations, saying they stifled innovation. The Florida lawsuit, first reported by the New York Times, the Daytona Beach News Journal, accused Ocean Gate CEO of misleading customers. Oh, so this is before COVID. The dive was postponed by autumn of 2017. And Hagels were growing nervous that it may never take place. Rush then flew out to Florida to personally assure them that the dive would go forward, but said if they changed their mind about participating, they could request and receive a refund, according to the suit. Rush said their deposits would be held in an escrow account. The Hagels were reassured, but when the dive, then scheduled for 2018, was postponed yet again, they requested a refund. Ocean Gate refused, according to the suit. Moreover, they learned their deposits were not held in escrow. The suit has not progressed since it was filed in February. Attorneys for Ocean Gate are not listed. So, he's a slimy fucking bastard. Deserves what's coming to him. Remember I talked about one of the passenger's stepsons? I don't believe it's, no. It's Hamish Harding's stepson. The CEO is Rush. Hamish Harding's stepson is the one that went to Blink 182. The Titanic billionaire stepson shoots a shot with OnlyFans model as rescuers scrambled to locate missing sub. So not only did he go to a Blink-182 concert, and apparently he called in a threat to some festival and was stalking DJs. I'm telling you, this story gets weirder and weirder. Funnier, no, that part's not funny. The OnlyFans thing, this is funny. This is fucking funny. The stalking the DJs and calling in threats on the festival, not funny. Things are starting to look very grim for the 5 people trapped inside the submersible meant to explore the Titanic, but that's not stopping the stepson of one of the missing men from shooting his shot with an OnlyFans model. Hamish.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Hamish Harding is a British billionaire among the passengers inside OceanGate's Titan, the submersible that lost communication 2 hours into the dive on Sunday. Harding's stepson, Brian Saz, has been very active on social media as the story has blown up around the world. Brian was back on Twitter on Wednesday, first asking his followers to continue to think of his family, writing, "Please keep my family in your prayers." I bet that one sounds really weird because it echoed. However, about 30 minutes later, his attention shifted to streamer and OnlyFans model Bria. I mean... who posted a pic of herself in a bikini with the caption, "Can I sit on you?" Brian, clearly into the pic, reposted it and replied, "Yes, please." Of course, Brian's comment section started to pop off following the post. One user wrote, "Laughing my ass off." Quote tweeting a thirst Quote tweeting a thirst trap while your stepdad is lost at sea is wild business. Another added, "This guy loves Blink-182 and having ladies sit on his face, and he's not afraid to let the world know." Oh, he's the same guy who announced he was going to a Blink-182 concert in San Diego as rescuers scrambled to look for Harding. Brian posted a photo outside the concert on Monday night, clearly aware it was going to come off the wrong way. Oh, shit. Guess everyone handles stress differently. This got Cardi B involved. And Cardi, as we have played Cardi on this show several times, she always has something hilarious to say. I'm very happy to play. Is Offset holding her tits while he has some sort of Meat Man filter on? I don't know what's going on over here. Maybe the whole thing's a filter. I'm tripped out. But anyway, Cardi got something to say.
Billionaires that's missing on the water from that submarine shit. One of the billionaires, their stepson, is at a concert, right? At a Blink-182 concert. And people is like, well, what is he supposed to do? Be sad at the house? Is he supposed to go look for himself? Yes. You're supposed to be at the house sad. You're supposed to be crying for me. You're supposed to be right next to the phone waiting to hear any updates about me. You're supposed to be counseling your mom and shit. Like, isn't it sad that you a whole fucking billionaire and nobody gives a fuck about you? Like you missing and motherfuckers is ready to shake dicks at concert. I'd rather be broke. I'd rather be broke than and poor, but knowing that I'm loved.
I love you, Cardi B. You are indeed loved. What the fuck was that Meat Man, Muscle Man album? Was that Offset with some sort of fucking filter on? I am tripped out by that. God damn. While we're on the topic of, I'm sorry guys, I'm gonna skip the police stories. We're gonna keep it light. While we're on the topic of musical artists, apparently Michael Jackson now a hero of the anti-cancel culture, anti-wokeness. Apparently, a hero for people like Jordan Peterson.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Thank you, Clinically. Thank you. Oh, you mean skipping the stories? Yeah, they would have pissed you off. Michael Jackson's song goes viral amid woke debate. He tried to tell us, and I'm going to go, spoiler alert, I promise you, this is right-wingers misinterpreting a song that means the exact opposite of what they think it means. I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. Not only that, the very song they are citing is a song I personally love and was playing the other night when I was playing video games with my buddy. He was like, "Is Michael Jackson playing in the background?" I was like, "Yeah, man. How'd you know? I didn't even think I had it up that loud." I was like, "Is it just that recognizable of a voice?" He's like, "No, I know the song. It's got a recognizable beat. You know, it's unique," and it is. I assure you, they are misinterpreting the lyrics. Michael Jackson's 1990s protest anthem, "They Don't Care About Us," has been held on social media. I listened to it before the show, and like the whole first verse, I'm like, how are they? They are not actually listening to this song. The fuck? "They Don't Care About Us" has been held. He even went to like a Brazilian fucking prison to film one of the versions of the song. Been held on social media for being as socially relevant today, and it is, but not for the reasons they think it is, as when it was first released in an environment of increasingly contentious debate about woke culture. The track was taken from the King of Pop's ninth studio album, His Story, which I think is a great play on words. His story, but also history. Past, present, and future. The single was released the following year and peaked at number 30. It featured the memorable hook, "Skinhead, Deadhead, Everybody's Gone Bad." It also had a lyric that they had to, like, I had the original cassette tape. I was still on cassette tapes at the time. By the time I bought the CD, like a year later, and had a CD player to listen to it on, they had censored, I don't want to say it. It is definitely a slur. But Michael didn't mean it as a slur. The K word for the Jewish race. Another portion of the music video was recently shared on Twitter. In it, Jackson sang, "Tell me what has become of my rights. Am I invisible because you ignore me?" Do we have the video here? We'll go ahead and play it. I'll lose my monetization on YouTube, but it's Michael. It's worth it.
What has become of my rights? If I am invisible cause you know me, your proclamation promised me free liberty. No, I'm tired of being the victim of shame. You're throwing me in a class with a bad name. I can't believe this is the land from which I came.
He has a fucking peace shirt on. How do they misinterpret? He has a peace shirt on.
No, I really don't hate to see it. The government don't want to see it. But if Roosevelt was living, he wouldn't let this be. No, skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad. Situation, speculation, everybody, dedication. Beat me, bash me, you can never trash me. Hit me, kick me, you can never get me. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us.
How do they do what about that? Well, the track was largely seen as a protest against injustice. It was. Michael Jackson in the 80s. I didn't realize this. I subscribed to this Michael Jackson documentary channel, and I've been watching a lot of Michael shit recently. And in the 80s, he was incredibly activist. He was on the side of police injustice and racial justice. Holy fuck. The man talked about the stratification of wealth. He talked about innocent people being locked up and the police beating suspects. He got so tarred with his own legal entanglements, and even this is one of the wild things. Is come to find out is Tom Snedden or Tom Sheldon, whichever one it was, the fucking DA in, is it LA County or whatever fucking county where Neverland was. That motherfucker isn't, we found out years later through investigations, corrupt as fuck. Him and the cops were all white supremacists and shit. So the idea that he was framing Michael is not far-fetched. Michael was a very powerful man that got out of line, and I truly believe that the CEOs of the record industries, the fucking cops in California, totally did do a number on him. He tried to warn us indeed, said one Twitter user, while another commented, MJ's music was dangerous to the controllers, remember that. Another shared a video clip of Andrew Tate quoting Jackson's track as he railed against being jailed amid the various charges leveled against him in Romania. No fucking way. We don't have a link to the video, though. No way, this motherfucker. Yes.
But it upsets me because it shows they don't give a shit about you. Michael Jackson said it. They don't care about us. Listen to the song. They don't care about you. The fact that we're going to sit here and say to you, after this stream, you need to drop and do some push-ups if you're half a man, and wake up tomorrow stronger than you were today. Because we make you a better version of yourself so you can help everybody around you and become a better man. They want us gone. But if we were fucking clowns, we'd be allowed to sit here forever. That's why they locked us in a jail cell, to suffer. Because we try and fucking help people. It's genuinely good against evil.
Oh my god, I think in this scenario, Andrew Tate, you are the evil. Oh, they're even saying that he was murdered? Oh, give me a break. I mean, you could technically say that the doctor didn't know what he was doing, but Michael was totally wanting the doctor to pump him full of propofol, so the doctor was probably negligent, but I don't think that Michael was murdered. So, do you guys like Price is Right? You guys like Price is Right? I think I have to go to... You want to watch a apparent injury? A contestant injured himself after winning. He was a winner. He wasn't just a contestant. He was a winner. Apparently injured himself on The Price is Right. Drew Carey.
All that wooing, all that arm pumping, a contestant named Henry was a winner at The Price is Right. But little did he know the extra price he'd pay for his enthusiasm.
Yes! Whoa!
One of these triumphant arm waves dislocated Henry's shoulder.
Oh, poor dude.
In the wheel, his wife Alice had to do it for him. As the show posted on Instagram, he won a trip to Hawaii and the ER.
95! Don't hurt yourself.
But other contestants have hurt themselves on The Price.
Wait. Did he win the Showcase Showdown? Like I would assume in '95, He more than likely went to the Showcase Showdown, but did he win? Did he win the whole shebang?
Is right.
Oh!
She injured her ankle and made a trip to the hospital, but not before finishing the show on crutches. And back when Bob Barker was host,
come on down.
Scott didn't just come on down, he fell down in pain.
A new station wagon.
Hurt his knee. It was bad enough that it gave out.
Oh! They played the sound!
In one episode. On this show,
the new treadmill!
Nobody's safe. Definitely not the announcer. And the host, well, Drew Carey is in constant danger of being hugged to death. At least they didn't lose any light bulbs.
Everybody!
Maybe the
Yeah, that could have been painful.
think it's prizes.
For a 7-night stay in the hospital. Make that an ambulance.
This riding a lawnmower.
Hey, better than a wheelchair.
But maybe the price is right for game show insurance. Ginny Most, CNN, New York.
All right, that's pretty fun. That's fun shit. Definitely a Troll Patrol worthy story. This also is a Troll Patrol worthy story as we're wrapping up here. I can't believe this is too wild. This is too wild. He will be moderately missed. Man's obituary goes viral. Apparently he was a Kentucky man.
Because it's just so unique. The twin sons of James Lovelace here took a less than traditional approach when writing this obit. They said the Somerset man, quote, up and died on us on June 14th in order to avoid another stolen presidential election mishap.
Oh my God! Holy shit! I wasn't expecting it to get political there. God damn.
Fun at his standing in the trailer park where he lived, his love for beer, and his reputation as a ladies' man.
Yeah, and the obit reads as a gluttonous eater of fried.
I'm assuming he didn't like the Bud Light. He gave up the Bud Light here in the last few weeks of his life now, didn't he?
Foods and snack cakes.
I'm gonna go back. I've talked over this. My apologies. I can't go back. I
James
can't.
tried in vain to give up.
Trying to rewind here.
Kentucky man is going viral because it's just so unique. The twin sons of James Lovelace here took a less than traditional approach when writing this obit. They said the Somerset man, quote, up and died on us on June 14th in order to avoid another stolen presidential election mishap in the near future. They poked fun at his standing in the trailer park where he lived, his love for beer, and his reputation as a ladies' man.
Yeah, and the obit reads as a gluttonous eater of fried foods and snack cakes, as well as the occasional chili cheese dog. James tried in vain to give up the ghost by clogging his arteries and having a stroke in 2015. While waiting in the ER, he was heard saying, "Let's make a break for it," only to be heard by hospital staff and forced to go through with the procedure. Now, if all this seems out of line, it's obvious by reading the Sun's social media post that they loved their dad and they felt he deserved an epic obit. They end it by saying with tongue-in-cheek that their dad will be moderately missed.
I mean, reading that, it's like, that's the kind of guy you wish you knew, you know? Sounds like a lot of fun.
A lot of people were talking about that obituary today.
I'm not so sure about that, ma'am. Well, I was moderately amused. Oh, goddamn. Now a heartwarming story. After I bring you, like, I guess that was a sad story. My condolences to the family, but I got a kick out of your obit. Here is a eagle raising a couple of hawks. Baby eagles, the hawks are raising eagles. 2 baby eagles have been taken in by hawks. Oh, the babies are really cute. I still don't know that I got the story right. Well, we're going to watch some giraffes now, too. Oh, it's a baby giraffe. No, it's a baby deer. Porg, I'm going to have a great rest of my night because Final Fantasy in 2 hours. I'm going to get stupid stoned and play Final Fantasy 16. You're welcome for the happy stories. I think we had a lot of fun tonight. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't see the baby deer. Hold on. Oh, yeah, I can stand it because I'm gonna get really high here. No, I want to go back to the baby giraffe. I want baby giraffe. No. I'm sorry. Maybe it'll autoplay again. I'll go back through the stories. Here's the baby birds. Yeah, I've got enough Troll Patrol shit to do, and then eat and get high. By the time I get everything done, it'll be time to play. Let's see if it auto-plays our giraffes now. Yeah, there we go. There's the giraffes. The giraffe with a baby deer. That's fucking adorable. Oh, it says baby giraffe. Oh, there's the deer. So that was a baby giraffe, I think. And then there was a deer. Yeah, let's watch the puppy too. Oh, I won't play. Be a civilized gentleman.
There you go.
Warm himself out.
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't it all look like you just ran a half marathon?
Oh, damn. We ran out of animal videos. No! Okay, back to the birdies. Anyway. I am not going to stream tomorrow night. I'm sorry. I said I was back on normal schedule, but I can't help it. I want to play Final Fantasy 16 tomorrow night. I got a whole bunch of work to do, so I'm gonna have to be good tomorrow and actually do my work during the day. So I want to be able to play Final Fantasy. 5, 6 o'clock. I'll wrap up. I can play Final Fantasy all night. So no stream tomorrow. I'm sorry. I'll be back on Sunday. I probably won't have it beat by Sunday because it's like a 50-60 hour game, and I'm very much a completionist, so I'm probably gonna play it for like 100 hours. So it'll take me a few weeks, probably less than a month. But I'll be back on Sunday. I'll get it out of my system over the weekend. I'll be back on Sunday. Regular schedule. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before we hit the sack. I am JustinFREAKIN. We will see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol live.
Oh God!
Hi. Hi.
I'm a Sour Patch Kid.
Hi. Hi. There you go.
Sit down and be a civilized gentleman.
Absolutely. Please jack me off with your feet. I would love that.
You live in sexual anarchy.
Definitely. Doesn't it all look like you just ran a half marathon?